All right, everyone. So today we are talking about chaos. I feel like my voice should be lower than that. Chaos. How about that? But that's what we're talking about. Harnessing the power of chaos. And I'm super excited for you to hear from Jothi Dugar later on. So let's get into it. Welcome to Souls Outside, where we're all about finding the trail to stay true to your path. We do this by inviting featured guests on every show to share with you how you can follow in their soul prints, so you can choose which trail maps you need to continue on your journey. My name is Shannon Pohl, and I'm loving having navigated my own pivot from engineering to now being a master results coach and hypnotherapist, plus a forest guide who loves getting outside so we can learn from the nature, foster stewardship, and really amplify our successes by being outside in nature. I'm so excited to have you join today's episode. Welcome to Souls Outside. All right, everyone, welcome to today's episode of Souls Outside, part of our hardcore brain power season. And today we're talking about harnessing the power of chaos. Our guest coming on later, Jothi Dugar, is the chaos guru, and she'll share with us lots of cool things about her story, plus three different types of chaos, which honestly are fascinating, so true, and just a really great frame on how to think about chaos. Before we bring her on, I wanted to chat about chaos a little bit from, we're going to go a bit sciencey with this, because another way, so the term for chaos is entropy, because entropy is the amount of chaos really that's in a system. The higher the entropy, the more chaotic it is. The lower the entropy, the less chaotic it is. And I'll say in my modalities, we learn to love entropy and embrace it. And that's a little bit of what Jothi's going to talk to us about later is how to recognize chaos and how to no longer be afraid of it. And that's part of where she's going to talk to us about the three different types. And so I just want to talk about it a bit from the science perspective, because it's, when our system is in chaos, and I'm thinking about molecules in a jar, there's a lot of motion, there's a lot of movement there. So it means there's a lot of energy. It's already in motion. And the challenge is that it's just, instead of being streamlined through a focus, it's all over the place. And so what we need to do is get it focused and compress it down so that it goes in a direct line. This is something we see with when we're making diamonds is, like the coal it's in a different form, and by compressing it down, putting that pressure on it, we're able to align those molecules into a really linear structure that's strong and solid and very beautiful and very pretty. I won't say this is true for me. I mean, diamonds are a girl's best friend is the phrase. I very much like the one that's on my hand. However, I like other stones, and that's getting beside the point. The point is that it's through this application of pressure and heat, pressure being part of it. And that's what usually makes us go away from the chaos, away from this entropy. It's through pressure that all of the molecules of the entropy system get pushed through and straightened out and aligned. It's through pressure that the chaos has a container and needs to go through. And if we can get to a place, that's why I love Jothi and how she identifies three different types of chaos, because if we can get to a place of awareness, then instead of having the chaos and the entropy just lash out anywhere through anger or rage or just any inappropriate behavior to the moment, if we can at least be aware of that we're in a place of chaos and entropy, what kind of chaos we're in, then we can actually push through it. And even though we're uncomfortable, we can be aware of it and be like, okay, we know it's only for a short time. I'm kind of thinking of almost like exams, especially university exams. Like you knew they were coming. There was pressure during it. However, you knew there was an end point. So while we all had our strategies, I'm sure, for dealing with the stress of exams, you at least knew there was an end point. You had a date that it would be done by. And by becoming aware of our chaos and that the entropy and all the molecules that are moving around in that chaotic manner, if we become aware of it and then choose where we're going to direct that stream of energy, because it's just a lot of energy in motion, it just needs a direction, then that's where we can have some magic and we, can be like, all right, I got to suck it up for 4 more hours because my exam's in 1 hour. Then 3 hours after that, I'm home free. I'm done. I can relax. Maybe you have a drink, whatever works for you. But you're done. Whoa. So become aware. That's what Jyothi's going to take us through in just a moment. Identify the type of chaos, how to work with it, and then just direct it and to go, yep, I know my time period. I know where we're going. Let's do this. Let's go through. And then it'll be done before you know it. All right, let's bring out Jothi. All right, welcome everyone. So now we have with us Jothi Dugar, who is the chaos guru, and she's going to share with us, well, how she's navigated chaos in her own life, and then how we can navigate chaos in our own life and really actually become friends with it, which, while sounds like a crazy concept right now, is going to be amazing and wonderful. So Jothi, thank you so much for being with us, and I'm just going to turn it over to you to introduce yourself a little bit more.
All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And yes, chaos loves you. You're going to learn to love it back because really it's like your best friend. It's there for you through the troubling times, but it's also there for you to learn from. It's the true best friend, the one that gives you what you need in the moment. So it's not just and tells you the truth in the moment and kind of kicks you in your rear end when you need it.
Thinking about it as like a best friend, that is different already.
Exactly. So there's no point running from it. There's no point hiding from it or pretending like it doesn't exist. I mean, that's not really nice to do to your best friend.
That's very true. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So yes, so I have gone through a lot of chaos in my own life, and I call it just chaos moments. Everyone has chaos in their life on a daily, day-to-day basis, but there are chaos moments that really change your life sometimes, or they steer you on a path in life, because there's always forks in the road that you're going to encounter, and it's the chaos that actually gets you to that fork, and then it's up to you to make those decisions on which fork do you take. So if you've always wondered, like, what if I had made this decision instead of, or go this way instead of going this way, how would my life have ended up? And that's how you use the chaos in the moment to really determine, why is this happening? And actually believe, like, well, if you think of it as your best friend, okay, well, your best friend's trying to tell you something. And I'm not making light of any situation. I've gone through pretty significant traumatic situations myself. So I'm not making light of anyone's history or experience or traumas that they might have encountered and saying, it's a good thing. But it is something that happened for you. And if you're alive right now, it did make you stronger. And it did play a role in who you are today. So if you're here today and you're alive and kicking and functional, then that moment or that experience made you who you are today, or is part of who you are.
Right.
So there's a lot of experiences in my life coming from a traumatic childhood, also being in male-dominated fields pretty much my whole life in Department of Defense, technology, now in the cybersecurity field. There's a lot of chaotic experiences that come with that. So everything you see in the news with harassment, discrimination, biases, and just being a woman and a minority woman in male-dominated fields carries its own weight to it, and struggles and roadblocks as well. And the recent chaotic moment I had was actually the birth of my third baby. So from a health and wellness perspective, a moment, I have 3 kids. So the moment that I would have thought would have been like the happiest moment of my life, having my third baby, like, fulfilling my dreams, ended up being the scariest moment in my life when I was given 6 weeks to live by my doctors.
Oh, wow.
Because my OB basically botched the entire C-section. So
I mean, and you're here today. That's the important part, everyone.
Exactly.
She's here today.
Yep.
We're good.
So this was 3.5 years ago. So I definitely made it past that 6-week mark. Okay. But it was not because I followed what my doctors told me to follow, which was get multiple surgeries without any real guaranteed result. So that was the moment where I got into holistic wellness and alternative medicines and natural healing modalities, which actually did heal me. It did that. I was able to get past that 6-week mark, but it really did take me a good 2.5 years to really get back to being 100% again. But I would not have changed it for the world because it then that was the catalyst, and that was the chaos moment for me to then realize, well, this is what I'm here to do. I've healed myself. Now I can help others heal themselves too, and really advocate for themselves and feel like they do have a choice, and they always have a choice, and empower them to know that their bodies and minds and souls are designed to heal itself. Pretty much through any situation for the most part. So, and then, I think a little bit later, we'll talk about the chaotic situation I'm in now. And, it's tough. I'm not saying this is an easy process, especially if you want that best friend to tell you the truth in the moment, because not a lot of people want to hear the truth. People always say, oh, I love honesty and I love honest people, but a true honest person, right?
Yeah.
If your best friend is a really good friend or best friend for you, sometimes the truth hurts.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to become realistic about that truth, and then actually start living your truth. I know previous to our conversation, we were kind of talking about sometimes it's hard to be your own, follow your own principles sometimes, or your own theory. And that is the hardest, because you're in the moment. So it's really going to be up to you to take yourself out of that particular moment and really think of yourselves as your client. So you had a really good point. And I think as I do more of these talks and podcasts and interviews, I start to really listen to myself talk. I'm like, oh, if I was hearing this for the first time ever, how would I actually manage that moment? And it's really a reminder for myself to be your own advocate. And you do have this ability to heal yourself, and everything is happening for you in that moment to find that gift and be able to take that and run with it.
God, yeah, very cool. And I love how like when you're talking about chaos as a best friend, and also that, like, if you were someone else listening to you right now, like, what would you say? What would you advise? Because that's almost what chaos is doing, is being like, hey, we're making it louder so you can, maybe pay attention and you listen to me, because I'm trying to tell you that there's a problem and you need to deal with it, which is what, a true best friend would say, like, yo, stop this craziness. Like, what are you actually doing with your life?
Yes, exactly. And there's chaos moments in every day, but a lot of times, unless something is loud enough or causes enough pain, you tend to kind of just ignore those moments, because nothing ever truly happens just out of the blue, even though it might seem like it in the moment. Like, well, how did this happen? Like, how did that person totally, I didn't even see this coming.
Yeah.
And that is true. When someone says I didn't see it coming, that is true. They probably did not see it coming, but because they weren't looking for it.
Right. They might have heard something or felt something. I mean, we're
Yeah,
allowed to, you can't, anyone who's just, you can close your eyes and you don't see things, but it doesn't mean things aren't happening all around you.
exactly. And
It's still happening.
I forgot who does this trick, but I learned it somewhere where they say, okay, take 5 minutes and look at uh, see if you can find every single red object in the room, and everyone goes like, okay, there's one, there's two, there's three, four, and then they come back like, okay, how many yellow objects were there in the room?
Exactly.
And people are like, wait, I thought we're supposed to look for red. I'm like, yeah. So when I told you to look for red, you only looked for red, and you completely were oblivious to all the yellow objects in the room. So a lot of times when your brain is telling you to look for one thing, it could be look for the negatives, or it could be look for the positives.
Yeah.
When you first encounter someone in a relationship, your brain is telling you only look for the positives in this person. You're
Yeah.
completely oblivious to everything else. Little by little, your needle starts shifting, or your lens starts shifting, and then at some point you're like, okay, I can only see the negatives in this person.
Yes, which I will share. I had a friend once who, in that best friend role, was telling me about her relationship, but she was in a place where she was only seeing the negatives for a bit and only sharing those negatives. And I was like, dude, you got to give me some positives, or else I have no idea why you're with this person. Because, it was a rough spot. And I'm like, and I haven't met him. I need you to help me out here. Because just like your brain, like if you're only focused there, like you need to have that whole complete picture to really have a complete understanding of any situation.
Right. Yeah, and that's really where even the term chaos comes from, because a lot of people feel like unless there's this like Yoda, like just calm and tranquil and peaceful and loving at 24/7 all the time, which is truly impossible to do. But it's also, that's not really the end state. So a lot of people
and like Yoda fought too.
Yeah, so
right?
it's actually being able to get to that state first, because most people aren't even there, like they're way below, their downward spiral. And so yes, that is a goal, to get to that calm, peace of mind and clear state where you have clarity to then move into the right direction or make the right decisions. So if you have to, I wouldn't say fight, but if you have to, let's say, if you're a warrior, you kind of have to fight. But if you're fighting from like a place of like anger and hatred, you're really not going to be a good fighter. So it's by getting to that clear state of mind that you can make quick decisions as a fighter. You're like, oh, I see a sniper here. Okay, I'm going to go this way.
Right. And that's where, like, and I mean, we'll avoid tangenting completely into that, because there's so many different elements of fighting. Like standing up for what you believe in is a way of fighting, right? Yes. Like, holding to your truth, advocating for yourself, actually, which is what you were saying. Like those are all ways of being in that warrior mindset and of fighting for yourself and others. I wanted to ask you, you mentioned something about, I mean, we've talked about how there's chaos in all of our days, and there's some, as our life goes, there are some more major chaos moments that happen. And one was a few years ago for you with the birth of your third child. However, I feel, are we in the middle of another one right now?
Yes. And, there's a big shift happening in the world right now. So most people just look at it as somewhat, or mostly as a negative. But there is a lot of positives that are coming out of this. And there's also a big shift in the energy and just the universe in general. So if you see from a female standpoint, there is a lot of female empowerment type of movements that are coming out of this, because as women, we're finding our voice again. If you already had a voice, I think people are starting to realize, like, oh, I can actually do good with my voice. I could use it to transform. I could use it to help others and be more effective and efficient with my voice. But then those that may have felt before they didn't have a voice, they're starting to find it. And what that entails, because I do a lot of women empowerment coaching as well as talks, and I now started realizing, like, I can't just focus on the women. I also have to focus on the male and the men. And when I say women and men, I'm mostly looking at like the feminine and the masculine, regardless of what your gender identity might be. But everyone has a core feminine essence and a masculine essence. So I realized that I also have to concentrate on the masculine, just because they're kind of at a loss right now too, especially if they're if you're in the same family and you had a feminine, let's say, a core essence feminine person, a woman, let's say, and before they were very, they lacked the confidence or even the skills or even their ability to realize they have a voice, but now they're slowly starting to rise up and understand, like, oh wait, no, I have a voice, and this I'm actually really confident. It starts to create an imbalance in the relationships, and it also in the energy, because now it's almost like
element.
They're bringing out their true authentic self, and before they put a whole lot of like walls and masks on. So it could be possible that when two people first met, they weren't their authentic selves, and now like that's starting to change. So it's creating that change in dynamics in relationships, not just with spouses or husbands or wives, but also with family members, and maybe even with your work setting. So if you've heard of, in this pandemic age, there's things called like COVID divorces, but there's also a lot of COVID layoffs and COVID just soul searching,
there's
and
COVID
purpose
babies.
COVID babies, yeah. So there's just like there's a lot of change that's happening in the universe, and not everyone, unless you really learn to ride the waves of chaos and ride those waves of change, you're not gonna, it's not gonna be successful.
Right. Which is a great segue into our next section that we'll get to after a quick musical interlude, when Jyothi's going to share with us how we can recognize chaos and how we can stop being afraid of it and therefore ride it. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us and sharing, well, everything you've shared with us so far. And everyone, stay tuned, because in a moment we're going to get you some tips on how to actually work with chaos in your life. All right, welcome back, everyone. So we still have Jothi Dugar with us today, and now we're going to get into the good stuff. Her story was really cool. We really enjoyed that. And now we're going to get into the soul prints section, and she's going to share with us how we can recognize chaos, as well as how we can stop being afraid of it and therefore, ride the wave, especially with so much chaos going on in the world these days.
Sure. So when I was going through my healing journey, and also just in the workplace setting, I felt into the same mistake as what everyone does. It's like, okay, well, there's just a lot of stress and there's a lot of chaos and there's too much going on and nothing is working or everything is going wrong, and kind of overgeneralizing it. And then I did also what everyone else would do: try to run from it, try to hide from it, try to push it down, try to ignore
so many things we try to do.
So trust me, I did the exact same things as any normal, rational person would do.
Excellent.
And just like their results, mine didn't work either. So what I came to realize was that there's actually different types of chaos. Not all of them are bad, not all of them are good either, but there are different types. And I wanted to keep it simple, so I just boiled it down to the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the ugly is what I call tsunami chaos. So this is if you think of your whole system, like your authentic operating system, as the ocean of life, because your body really, it's 98% water for a reason. So, and which is why we really, most of us really resonate with ocean or water bodies, because our bodies tend to, and our minds tend to function like the ocean. So if you think of a tsunami, there's always a trigger, right? You don't just, a tsunami doesn't happen just out of the blue one day. It's like there's a trigger in the bottom of the ocean.
It seems like it does. I feel like we experience it like it comes out of the blue, and you're right.
Yeah, and you're right. If you didn't realize that there's actually a trigger that happened first in the ocean, which then caused the ocean to act a little like funny because, you know, either the water is like retracting backward or it's just kind of like really, you know, it just acts not like a normal ocean wave. So, and then it does come like roaring across and then crushing everything in its path. So,
yes.
You know, I think we could all say we've had moments like that where somebody said, you know, caused a trigger or triggered something in us. Whether it triggered a fear or maybe they triggered a value within us, that triggered something or belief system. And it's because of that trigger, then maybe we go through this phase of like, we're just acting a little weird. You know, we just wanted to kind of be by ourselves, or we just kind of react to things. And then, you know, there's always that person or situation or event or something that happens. You know, it might be the smallest thing, but that was kind of like the cat or the straw that blew the camel's back, whatever that saying is.
Straw that broke the camel's back, yeah.
Where you're kind of like, oh my gosh, that's it. And then you just come like roaring across. And
yeah,
that poor person's kind of like, I don't know what happened with this person. Like all I said was, you know, we don't have any mac and cheese tonight. But it wasn't that person and what they said or did. It was because there's already you know, a trigger that caused this effect. Right. So that's the type of chaos that it's the hardest to release because those triggers are triggering something in you that might have come from 20 years ago, 30 years ago, from your childhood, maybe even from your past lives sometimes, which we never really know, or from your ancestors. So it's the deepest type of chaos to really release, but it's also the type of chaos that you have the most number of tools and modalities and techniques for out there. This is where really the holistic wellness and well-being approach really comes in handy, like the mind, body, energy approach, so you can really start to release some of these things from your system. So then there's the bad chaos, and the bad chaos I think of as similar to riptides. So if you think about how a riptide works, you know, for the common person, you don't really notice it in the ocean, right? You can't really tell that there's a riptide that's going on there. So it seems like there's like this invisible energetic force. But if you're in the riptide, oh, you know, yep. It's like pulling you down or it's pushing you out further away in the ocean. So you know there's something that's happening, but you don't really know what. Right. And the same thing goes on around us. This is kind of the hardest type of chaos to really recognize. And the easiest way I can put this is, let's just say you're looking for a relationship. And you know it's been months or maybe even years, and you feel like, oh, you know, I'm really not able to find my soulmate. But then in your bedroom, you have this picture or a canvas of a desert with one tree in it. So the energy of that picture that you're actually attracting to yourself is one of loneliness, which is why you feel lonely. And the same thing could be true for, you know, the way you sit in your office, and maybe you have financial concerns. But then your back is facing the door. So in feng shui, in a Chinese feng shui system, when your back is facing the door, you're actually saying no to abundance and finances, because people come through the door and people represent money, wealth, abundance.
So are you supposed to face the door?
Yes.
Can we be, what about sideways? It's probably ishy.
Best to, if there's any way possible, you can actually face the door, or be able to look at the door, like, you know, so it's in front of you, not directly to the side, and definitely not behind you.
Clearly, I'm currently thinking about where my desk is in relationship to the door. It's sideways, so maybe a little office reorg isn't necessary.
If you can see it, I mean, if it's like, if you don't have to actually like turn, if it's kind of like in the corner.
Yeah, I'll have to figure this out.
Yeah.
Let's move on. What's the good chaos? Let's go to good chaos.
And even the clothes you wear, there's energy profiling, there's Ayurvedic, there's colors of the day. So there's so many different aspects of energy around you that you don't even know how it's affecting you.
Right.
But a clear sign would be if a person comes in with a kind of a negative energy to them, you automatically feel that. You might not know what it is that you're feeling, because maybe they even have a smile on their face, but you can tell like, something is off about this person, or I suddenly don't feel too great. It's basically your energetic system is reacting to that person's energetic system.
Got it.
And so this is the hardest type of chaos to identify, because it's a little bit it's invisible, but it's also the easiest to transform into the good chaos, because all you got to do is change the picture on your bedroom to actually start inviting in the positive energy. You know, put a picture of two lovebirds, or two sailboats, or or change the orientation of your desk and room. So simple fixes that can carry a massive effect. Now the good chaos is the type of chaos that you actually want to invite into your life. So this is the surfer board chaos, where you're riding those waves of chaos, and you're excited, you have adrenaline pumping, and you can see the goal, the end result there. There is a little bit of fear as well. So it's not that these are just easy things, like, I got this, it's all good, because you're not going to have that feeling of thriving in your life by being in your comfort zone. So it's only by kind of reaching past that comfort zone where like, oh, I'm a little bit nervous and a little bit fearful, but I know this is like the right thing to do. And I could see the end goal there. And that's the type of chaos you actually want to invite into your life, because it helps you grow, it helps you elevate. And really with that kind of chaos, everyone would be so bored in their life that there would be no innovation that comes from that.
Very cool. Let's be honest, I'm a little still stuck back on the desk moving. I'm planning into office reorganization, and it's so very cool. Thank you for because it's definitely never. I love your analogies. Tsunami, riptide, surfer board.
Yes.
It makes it very clear what kind of chaos is going on. Can you see it? Can you not see it? What can we be aware of? Which I think is important to highlight, that there's so many resources that you even make available to people through your website, jothidugar.com/resources. Again, link in the show notes for everyone. But also we'll share with people that you have a Facebook group called Transform Chaos, because let's do that, where you do weekly lives that are on the different themes, where I'm sure people can easily ask you questions on like, oh no, is this good chaos or bad chaos? Have I just found a tsunami? How can I change all of these things?
Yes, most definitely.
Excellent. Amazing. So thank you so much for being on our show today. I know I've had different things about Chaos Illuminated for myself, beyond just the desk and the people. I've learned a lot more than just that. But so many little things just to think about, and to change that perspective on it, so that you can, I guess, have more choice. And you mentioned holistic health and wellness, and just, a holistic approach to how we're navigating our lives by looking, instead of putting those blinders on or closing your eyes, by being open and being like, okay, what is going on? How can I work with it and do it? So,
yes, yeah, and just remember, everything is connected. Your mind, your body, and your energy is all connected. So if you want to change something happening in your physical body, if it's a health condition, just start changing your mindset, your perspectives. There's a lot that goes on there, but it can be changed, and
awesome.
You can heal yourself.
And we're going to end on that. You can heal yourself. That is doable. So again, Jothi, thank you so much for coming on. Everyone go to her website for resources, join the Facebook group to get, in on these lives and these chats and these shares, and you can heal yourself. Thank you for joining us today on Souls Outside, and we hope you enjoyed walking in our featured guest soul prints as much as we did. As always, we like to wrap up each episode with our extreme gratitude and appreciation for our founding sponsors, who quite literally made it possible for Souls Outside to become a reality. First off, special thanks goes to Eche Savas and her company Palindrome Design for the amazing cover art. and noting that their sponsorship comes in support of their passion project, Self-Build Sustainable. We'd also like to thank Chuck Henry for his amazing music, original music, that is featured throughout the episode. And of course, Elise Cannon, our amazing editor, who quite literally made it possible for any of these episodes to see the light of day. They probably would still be on a hard drive on my computer without her expertise, skill, and passion for editing. So we thank them so much. And until next time, we hope you enjoy your journey and continue following in the soul prints of those who have gone before. Hey, one last thing before you go. If you wish you could talk about this episode with myself, our featured guest, or other like-minded individuals like yourself, join us on Facebook or LinkedIn in our Souls Outside Facebook and LinkedIn groups. On Facebook, we do watch parties. On both, we have awesome conversations about what we talked about and are able to answer your questions on how you can go even further on your soul print journey. See you there.